screwing it up the first time and managed to get Adam back online. Thanks for the patience, Adam. And as I said before, it's a very gloomy, rainy morning in Sri Lanka. How's the weather down there, mate?
It's a nice one today. We've had bipolar weather the last 3 or 4 days. It's been 42 degrees a couple of days ago, and then cold yesterday, but today's just right. So
That's Melbourne weather, mate. That's the
that is
Melbourne weather.
not as gloomy
Uh,
as Colombo.
Exactly, folks. If you missed out my host today, let me introduce once more. It's an unbelievable man, a self-made man, former Surrey captain and former England ODI captain who made the revival for English cricket and his post-cricketing career. And he became a writer, and there onwards he became a boxer. It's unbelievable. And not only a boxer, from boxing he went on to MMA. Am I right, Adam?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, and currently, and you are the assistant coach of Queensland, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Amazing career, Adam. You are an inspiration to all the young blokes who are coming up in career, and you have been through a lot. And as a cricketer, as a human, and what you are doing at the moment for the humanity is unbelievable, Adam. Once again, my sincere appreciation for coming on the show and for being with me this morning. Thank you very much, Adam. It's good to have you here, mate.
Pleasure to be here.
Adam, okay, going back to I reckon you are with the you still got the Aussie accent. That's I can figure it out. And so you tell us what made you leave Australia, go to England, and made a career for yourself. Where did it all start?
So, despite the common belief that I went to go and play for England because I wasn't good enough to play for Australia, I actually went to England at the age of 12. My father was in the oil industry, and he got a job over there in England. And obviously, at the age of 12, I wasn't old enough to go out on my own, so I had to go with him. So, went to England and started playing cricket there. I went to a private school there called St George's in Surrey, and where I did a lot of sport, really, cricket, rugby, hockey, athletics. I did everything just like most young kids. So, and that's how I ended up being over there.
Excellent, Adam. Excellent. I'm just making sure that I can see you on Facebook right now. And as I told you that there's a 10-second delay, and that what we talk about. So I suggest that you stay here, and the people who can watch you, they can listen to you the the live stream accordingly. So that's where it all started. So you went to Surrey and you did your schooling in England. Is that how
Yes,
it went?
all my secondary schooling, yeah, like from 12 onwards. My schooling wasn't that impressive. I was only at school for about 5 years, so so
It's nothing surprising, mate. Nothing. I mean, it's very difficult to balance your sporting career and your academic career, and it always happens. So it's a path that we choose. I mean, same thing happened to me. And were you a brilliant kid, in school, or how do you go?
I was big. I was a big kid when I was 12. I was fully grown. I was almost the same size as I am now. So I thought I was going to be 6'5", but unfortunately, I didn't grow anymore. So, but I was good at sport just purely because of my size. Really, I was very good. I'm mainly a rugby player, and then I just
I
did
was
cricket.
about to I was about to ask you, did you play any rugby is it union or league?
Rugby union. I was down at the
Right.
school too, and then I used to go sneak out of school and go and do boxing at the local boxing club because at that time Mike Tyson was just coming on the scene, and I was inspired by what he was doing, so I wanted to go and learn to box. So that was always been a massive passion of mine. I think also maybe the Rocky movies as well
Yep.
inspired me a little bit to go out there. And it sounds a bit corny now, but I thought Sylvester Stallone was a real fighter till about 3 or 4 years ago. So So I was disappointed when my 9-year-old told me he wasn't actually real. I was a bit disappointed.
But the fact is, Adam, that I think I spoke to you sometime back. I I picked up a little bit of boxing. It's the same passion I had when I was growing up. The Rockies and Tysons and Muhammad Ali's and all those people who inspired my life, but never ever had an opportunity get the feel of boxing. Just it was always back of my mind, and eventually at the age of 51, I decided to just go out there and do a bit of punching. Just in one thing I will always miss in my life: never had a professional fight under me, despite
Yeah.
despite the few street battles I had. But I understand. But
They're
I
the best
understand
ones.
that those are the best ones. No rules at all. No rules, but yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I understand that you had five professional fights under your belt with 3 knockouts, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
That's pretty
Boxing.
impressive.
Yeah, I had a lot of different fights. So I had 5 amateur boxing fights. I had quite a number of exhibition bouts versus other people from other sports, and then I also I fought in something else called Combat 8, which is like a mixture between boxing and MMA, and then obviously I fought MMA as well. So there's like a lot of fighting there. So all different types of fighting, all different, some professional, some amateur. So I've had quite a sort of variety of fights
Which
over my life, and a couple, like you said, a couple ones late night after too many drinks at the bar.
uh, those are the best, as you said. Yeah, it's so no unpredictable and no rules. That's how much we have in common. Which sport did you prefer? Which is boxing or MMA?
Well, I've always been a massive fan of boxing. I don't like, but I'm more into my MMA now. I was probably better at MMA than I was at boxing, but I don't know. I love them all the same. I think they're all different. Like cricket as well. Cricket would be cricket, boxing, MMA. There's things I love about all of them, and there's things I don't like about them. So I just think they're all very different. It depends what mood I'm in as well. If
Do you love your jiu-jitsu?
I love my jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. I wish I had more time to do more of it. In fact, I'm thinking maybe the other day I was thinking I might try and get back into that, because that's something that you can do all the way into, if we're fortunate enough to live a long life, then it's something you can do until we die, really. So that's something that I was thinking the other day that I might try and take back up.
Really, you reckon that the older you get, your body can take up all that beating? Is that possible?
Well, jiu-jitsu is not so hard on the body. I think it's, and also you can,
Oh, jiu-jitsu, yes.
in training, you can try and, you can just work to the level of your opponent, and it's a really thinking man's martial art. I think you might have confused that I was thinking about going back into MMA, which I definitely don't want to do. I can't think of
Yeah.
anything worse than being punched in the face one more time.
That's what I
And I don't
thought.
need to get any uglier than I already am. My modeling career was over before it started.
So you cannot be a model and a MMA fighter at the same time, mate. Nah, it doesn't work. I don't think it really works in the real world. It's just going to be tough. It's great stuff. Going back to cricket, and what point did you start playing for Surrey? That's I believe your school structure is very similar to cricket over here. To tell you how Sri Lanka works, probably you'll be interested. The kid starts playing, as you know, that it's our number one sport back home, and the kid starts playing cricket at the age of 13, and they go on with the progression. They play on the 15s, 17s, 19s, and club cricket, and so on and so forth. And it's a very interesting question I always wanted to ask you. Perhaps I know the answer, but I think lots of people who are listening out there want to hear from you. How come that you don't see many kids playing cricket? Cricket is not the number one sport in England. That there is football, and there is rugby, and I believe cricket is way down the line in the priority list. But how come the kids prosper once they leave college, get to county level, and how do they blossom? Is that the structures in place, or what's the reason behind?
Yeah, well, there is a lot of other sports. It's the same as in Australia. There's, you've got over here, I think there's even more sports because you've got Australian rules football, rugby union, rugby league. They play soccer as well. So there's a lot of selections of sports to choose from. But although you say, it's the number one sport in Sri Lanka, it's still the number one summer sport in England. So no one plays
Okay.
football or rugby at the time when cricket on. So cricket's really the only summer sport in both Australia and England. So it doesn't clash with rugby or football. The main thing in England, I think, is the schools. So some schools play cricket and some don't. So the private schools, all those schools play cricket, but the state schools, they tend to not play it as much. So it's much harder to make it as a professional cricketer if you don't go to a private school. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why Surrey's been so successful over the years, is because the county's a very affluent county, a lot of money in that, and a lot of private schools. So there's a bigger selection or pool of people to pick from. So Yorkshire is another county that's always very successful, but they've just got a very big population. So those two counties historically are the most successful, and I think that's probably based on the amount of kids that come through from private schools, just simply the amount of people that play the game. And
Yeah.
sorry.
Go on, mate. Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah.
Once we leave school, and if we're fortunate enough to get signed on as a professional cricketer, I think the England system is very good, as is the Australian system, and that there's a lot of youth identification, academies now at all the counties, which have a structured way of taking talented school children all the way through up to international cricket, and I think that's improved a lot in the last 30 years since I've been involved in cricket, and I think at the moment England and Australia are probably the two countries that are leading the way with that. I think they have very good academy systems and very good youth structures and representative team structures, and once you're involved in that and you're caught up in it, then you're very well looked after and coached and given mentorship, which I think I'm not sure how it is in Sri Lanka, but I know that both the places that I work with, England and in Australia, they're both places are very professional at that.
Yep. That's the problem that we have. We produce brilliant cricketers up to school level, and most of the guys, they do not, they pursue their careers. They drop out. They move into other areas. They find other employment, and only a handful of guys continue to play cricket. So that's been a problem, in Sri Lanka, which we need to address. And also, I reckon that the time I played, we were just semi-professionals. Even the time I played for Sri Lanka, I mean, the money was never great. I played in a different era. We played simply for the passion, whereas you guys had a structured system going, and they were playing professional cricket. That's going back like 20-30 years, and the structures were there, and we are still trying to get in there, and it's a massive issue. If I'm not mistaken, you toured with the British Lions in a couple of occasions here. Did you play down here, or is it your brother?
No, my brother came down there in, I'm going to say 1990, the end of 1997, I will say. The England Lions came down there and played against Sri Lanka. He was only maybe 19 or 18 at the time, or 18. And he went out there with the England Lions, and he did fairly well. He did very well, I think. He's got a couple of hundreds and had a successful tour. I never actually got down to play cricket in Sri Lanka.
So you have never been here? You have never been to this part of the world?
I haven't, no. It's probably one of the few, I think it might be the only cricketing country or the test playing nations that I haven't been to. So I'll, after this interview, though, I'm going to hit you up. I want to come and stay at your place. I've got a place
anytime, mate. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who would love to have you in Sri Lanka. It's a beautiful country and ideal for if you are a surfer and we got lovely beaches, and it's unbelievable what the country has to offer. So tick it in your wish list, and hopefully one day, that we'll see you down in Sri Lanka, and you'll be treated as a VIP. And the we are a sport loving nation, and we love our sportsmen, regardless, whether you are English, Australian, whatever. The mutual respect people have for one another is amazing, and it'll be great to have you. And you got a mate, as you said. Yeah, you have a mate down here. It'll be lovely to share a beer with you. Going back to Surrey days, how many seasons did you play? 13 or how many?
So I started, my first year was in 1989, and my last year was in 2004. So I don't know how many seasons that is, but that's a lot. I retired pretty young though. I was only 31 when I retired, so
Right.
32. So I was fairly young. I was just coming into my prime, I think. But after my brother's accident, I'd had enough at that stage, and I had some other things going on in my life, so I decided to retire quite early. So yeah, but I feel like I could have carried on playing for quite a long more time physically. I'm still physically, even now, I'm pretty lucky that I don't have any injuries or anything like that. So
Lucky man.
yeah, I am. Yeah, very lucky. Yeah, so I was there for a long while, and I was captain between 1997 and 2003. So yeah, I had a good run there at Surrey.
Yeah, brilliant.
And a
Yeah.
good background of we had Kumar Sangakkara there. After he was obviously there after I retired, but and often whilst I was playing there, so a number of times I spoke to Murali about potentially coming and playing. He always wanted to come and play in London. He said he liked the idea of coming and playing for a London club, but he eventually went and played at Manchester up at for Lancashire. So there could have been even more Sri Lankan connection there with Surrey.
Yeah, I mean, like, very few players actually, that got the opportunity of playing county cricket, although it has been a dream of many players to, go out there and play. And that's, as you know, that, that just apart from, just the talent itself, their marketability, so many things matters, as, you and I know. So unfortunately, that had not been the case. But it's brilliant, what Kumar, and going back, what Ari did, Aravind De Silva, you remember?
Yeah, I played a lot against him. He's a very good player.
Yeah, and now to see that Kumar, at the top of MCC, mate, it's a great achievement. What the guy has done.
Amazing, and he's a gentleman as well. Lovely man. I know everyone at Surrey loves him. He's he left a great impression there at our club, and everybody who played with him speaks so highly of him. And obviously, to be head of the MCC is probably one of the most prestigious jobs in the world. And obviously, he's representing all of Sri Lanka there when he does that. And I think everyone in Sri Lankan should be very proud to have him representing them up there.
Oh, we are definitely, mate. Definitely. There's no doubt about it. Just the Kumar being an absolute ambassador for Sri Lanka cricket, and that we wish him all the very best in his future endeavors, and I hope he'll go places, and so it's good luck to him. And another product is Mahela that made a massive impact, but I don't think Mahela was fortunate enough to play county cricket, and played a lot of like 2020 stuff around the world, and just who he is. Right. Apart from just a question, to ask you. I have seen your post that you always talk about your Surrey days compared to your England days. Which role did you like most, playing county or playing for England?
It's a difficult one because I think for my ego, I think obviously playing international cricket is the top of your game, but if I'm being honest, I never really properly felt English. I was born in Australia, and my parents are Australian, and I grew up here till I was 12. So playing for England, I never quite felt at home. I always got told I was, that Australian kid who plays for England, and even when I was captaining, I never totally felt like I belonged there. But with Surrey, I'd always felt like my home. A lot of those guys who I played with, Mark Butcher, I grew up from the age of 12 with. Graham Thorpe, Alistair Brown, Martin Bicknell, all those guys I've known since I was 15 years old. So That always felt like my home. Obviously, when you're playing international cricket, there's more eyes on you, TVs, more money, all that stuff. But just for feeling part of it, I think I enjoyed playing for Surrey more.
Yeah, that's what you keep saying. I reckon that you had a brief career playing for England. How many tests did you play, mate?
Just 4 Test matches. I was sort of more successful in one-day cricket than Test cricket, and my Test matches were sort of I think we clashed with the Australian side in '97, so that probably at their best then. Warne, McGrath, and all those guys. So, and then I had a hard one tough wicket there, and then I went over to the Caribbean, and one of the Test matches I played in was the abandoned Test match, which the wicket was unsafe and was cancelled after 45 minutes. And then obviously that series I got injured as well. So then my Test career never really took off. It was more in the one-day internationals that I preferred them as well. I probably would have preferred T20 even more, I think.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I have never played the 2020. Would love to, just like my ambition to have one professional fight under my belt before I die. I wish I could play one 2020 game. I don't think it's all it's a dream. But anyway, it wasn't there at that time. And just a dodgy question. What about that Saja that the tournament England won and you captain, mate? I think that is where the English revival came. That famous victory in Saja.
Yeah, that was Champions Trophy in 1997. Yeah, we went there, and I think we didn't send our best side because we had the Test series coming up against West Indies, and we'd had a hard summer, so they rested Gough, Caddick, Atherton didn't go, Nasser Hussain didn't go, Mark Ramprakash didn't go, so we only played half a team. So when they sent it, they asked me to be captain. We weren't expecting to. Well, we expected to win, but I don't think anybody else expected us to win. So it was. I felt like it was we're just partaking in this tournament, and it didn't really figure that we were going to do that well. So when we actually came out and won it, people were pretty surprised, I think.
Yep, Saja is a very interesting place, and that always I think my debut was in Saja, and
Yes.
And then thereafter, we don't want to go there. They stopped playing in Saja, and I think they're back again. That's I wish them all the best and whatever they do in life. And you with the A team went back to the Caribbean, right? How do you like West Indies is a special place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's really strange because I went to we played in Jamaica in '98, and when we went there, I didn't really enjoy it very much because safety was a big issue, and we were told we couldn't go out in Kingston, and so I never really ventured out of the hotel very much. We were in Kingston for a month maybe, so I found it quite boring not being able to go out. But this time when I was there with the Lions, we were also told we couldn't go out, but I figured I wasn't going to sit in my hotel again for another 2 weeks. So I actually just went out and I got to meet the people, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being there, and beautiful people, very relaxed people, and I didn't feel in any danger at all. So I really enjoyed my time there this time. I got to see more of the country, and obviously the West Indians, they love their cricket. It's quite interesting seeing the evolution of their game, from 4 quick bowlers and fast pitches and uneven bounce to when you go there now, as you know, the pitches are very spin friendly, very slow, and they're developing a lot more spin bowling. So I found it really an interesting time there, but an enjoyable time there. Beautiful place to be.
Yeah, and I think not many people know that we had a chat off the record, and I asked you a couple of questions which came in very handy when we went down to Jamaica. I
Yes.
totally agree with you that the wickets have, I think the little I have seen, beg pardon, the wickets have changed so much, and we actually I think in Kingston we opened bowling with spinners, and we managed. We went on to win the game. We decided to play a different ball game, compared to the quicks they had, and we thought that we play according to our strengths, and it came right. The place has changed, the weather has changed, and perhaps the people have not changed. We were, to tell you that we were down in I think not Kingston. I forget the what bay was it? Beautiful place,
Montego Bay.
Montego Bay. Yes, that we were stuck in a hotel as well, and we were not allowed to go out, and so there was pretty much it was like a very isolated place. And having said that, it's a beautiful place, beautiful beaches, and a lovely place to cricket. And we wish West Indies all the very best, and we like to see back. See West Indies back at the top. I mean, that's they were champions at one stage, and I think rightfully that's where they should be. The more competition in this world, it's better for any sport,
Absolutely.
And mate, sorry, earlier I said British Lions. I forgot that it's England Lions, so I got my cricket and rugby mixed up. And also it's being a Sunday morning that I don't have my production crew, so I'm just all by myself. So you see, I'm fidgeting with one monitor and the sound levels, the audios, and so please accept my apologies, because I'm doing it all by myself. And the most important thing is having you here, having a chat.
I've got my studio here. I've got my production team all around me, so it's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, I saw.
I've got my iPhone leaning against the Pepsi bottle, so that's my production.
That's all you need. Knowing you guys, I had sleepless nights. My thought was, how am I going to make it simple for this guy? He's not going to go through this, that. So I did so much research, and eventually I found out it's Adam. Click on this bloody link and get online, and you come online, and I mess it up. That's amazing. It's Murphy's Law, mate. That's how the world goes. And Adam, I'm going to ask you a personal question. If you don't want to talk about it, you can most certainly, say that that's the subject and a phase in your life which you don't want to talk about. I know Ben had been more than a brother. He's like, he's your mate, and he was very close to you. And losing Ben, at such a young age, and I know the work that you did post Ben, the amount of work you've been, that I did some research on you, and amount of work you have done to help people who are equally suffered similar losses, and how you have helped those people to come out of the state that they are in, and the work that you have done. Are you still doing that kind of work and helping people?
Not in any official capacity at the moment. I do get asked to go and help some charities, and but I don't officially have a charity that I'm actively working for. I'm an ambassador for the McGrath Foundation, so they continue to do good work. I still try and help out the Chase Hospice, which is the Children for Terminal Illness back in England, which is the charity that my brother's charity supported. And then there's I support an orphanage up in Jakarta in Indonesia, which is where my mother's from. So I still do bits and pieces. I don't actively support one charity in particular, but if I feel that I can make a difference and help in some way, then I'll always. I think it's an important thing with life, and people say, a lot of people said to me, "Oh, you help out a lot of stuff like that." Well, I'm a little bit selfish in that I feel that I need to do that to make myself feel good about myself. So I like to help where I can, because it makes me feel good to help out. So it might be selfish, but hopefully people get the benefit of it, and that's all that matters in the end.
Excellent, mate. I'm sure you still miss your brother a lot. I mean, it's a silly question to ask. That they losing someone close to you. Just that's how life goes, isn't it? We all lose people who we love, and the idea is to gather their strength and just to move on. As you always say, life never ends. It's just a change of, it's a transition of energy. That's what you say always. That's your mantra, isn't it?
That is my mantra. Yeah, I think it doesn't. They say, as I always say, energy can never die; it only transfers. So, yeah, I believe that. Well, that was a very hard time in my life. Losing my brother was a shock. We were all out for dinner that night, my family, and then we were driving home, and 10 minutes later he's dead. So it was a tragic time and a shock, and probably we all. I always say that life humbles all of us at some stage. We all have to go through some hardship, whether that be losing people or sickness or financial problems or having our heart broken, whatever. I always say that everyone we meet has their story, and it's just how we react to that and how we respond and move forward that defines how happy we're going to be. Some people can't get past it, and I understand that. I'm not telling everybody to be brave and you've got to put it in the past, but sometimes that takes a lot of time. But for me, it did take a lot of time to get past that, because he and I grew up together. We went boarding school together from a young age. We were best friends. We lived together. We played in the same cricket team. So for me, it was a huge loss, and something probably still to this day that I'm still trying to get past properly. I mean, I'm much more at peace with it now than I was, but still, there's days when I think about him a lot. So it's a work in progress.
I wish you all the very best, mate, to get over it, because sometimes I see that, however much, how what a strong guy you are, but he's still at times, I can sense the emotion sitting so many miles away and reading your post, and I can feel it. All I can do is I wish you well, and that you will move on.
Thank you.
Adam, you don't believe the comments we get. The one guy is asking, "Are you half Sri Lankan, mate?" That's hilarious. and, and another guy is saying, not too bad for two old coaches, looking sharp, a crazy. Uh, what I'll do is, once I finish the chat, I will go and reply all of them, and I will also tag you that you could see now what a hilarious session it had been so far. It's been brilliant talking to you always. And one other thing I want to ask you: how did you manage yourself, your post cricketing career? I think why I asked you that question, I it's one of the biggest issues that we have back in Sri Lanka, that once the guys finish their cricketing career, and unlike in England or Australia, I've seen cricketers, they move away to the countryside, or they pursue a passion they have, and they are quite happy and content to get on with post cricketing life. But one of the biggest issues that we have here as a past cricketer, what the guys don't know what to do once you finish. As you know, that it's something very hard to come to terms with. You always think, wish that I could have played a couple more seasons. That I always had it. I think that's the human nature. I think the greatest thing is for a guy to quit at the top and say, I had enough, and then move on to your post career and be with your family, friends, and go to countryside or take up another profession. How did you manage? I think you too had a bit of a rough time since
Yeah.
giving up cricket.
Yeah, definitely. So I was fortunate or unfortunate, whichever way you want to look at it, that I had business interests on the side whilst I was playing cricket. So I had a property development company with my father and my brother, and we were running that whilst we were playing cricket. I remember my father was the main person; he was a decision maker, but both my brother and myself and my father invested money in that, and that was doing very well. That was also probably one of the things which helped me make up my decision to retire so young, was because financially I was doing pretty well, and so that was the obvious transition for me, was to go from cricket and do property development. Everything was going great, but then in 2009 we obviously the global financial crisis hit, and our company got caught up in that, and unfortunately we lost everything. So it was an interesting stage because I was approaching 40, and like I said before, I hadn't really paid that much attention at school, so I didn't have a lot of qualifications behind me. And then I'd obviously always been a professional sportsman or an entrepreneur, so I didn't have qualifications or experience in the workforce. So it was quite a scary time. I'd probably say the one time in my life where I doubted myself, I'd say. So that's when I started. That's when I started fighting professionally. So I had to sort of get through a couple of years just financially, just to work out what I wanted to do. So I fought professionally for about 3 or 4 years, and then by that stage I realized that I wanted to go back into cricket and start coaching, and I'd also set up some other business interests at the same time. So it's been I would say like a roller coaster ride. It's been highs and lows. Some people just they finish school, they go to university, they study, they get their degree, and then they go and become an accountant or whatever, lawyer, and they work from 9 to 5, and their life is the same the whole way through. No downsides, no upsides, just steady going the whole way. My life has definitely been like the roller coaster, big ups and big downs, and I guess I just have to learn how to behave when things are going down, and I'm trying to not have such big highs and lows and try and be a little bit more steady. But I don't like the merry-go-round, so I don't want to just be boring and do that. But by the same token, I don't want to live life so risky as what I was. So it's a learning process.
I reckon that's pretty much the same way I'm concerned. That a post cricketing career, I've been an expat. Had best of life, and then came back to Sri Lanka with the Sri Lanka team, in and out, and it's been a roller coaster, absolute roller coaster. And as you said, I don't know whether it's my choice or whether it's something external, which I'm not superstitious, or I'm not. What can I say? That I'm not very spiritual kind of guy. I think you're the same. There's a I take life as it is. I think the life is up to you, what you make out of it, and just enjoy the ride and see what's in store for us. And the more comments coming in, mate, I missed it out. Just tell me, where do you get your good looks from? From your mother's side, your father's side? And it look more like coming from Jakarta, mate.
Oh, well, I don't know if my modeling career was over before it started, so I'm not sure. I've been called good looking for maybe the people's screen's a bit fuzzy, I think. So I was my mum's part Indonesian, so part Polynesian. So I guess my dark skin, maybe that's what the Sri Lankan people are liking because my skin's the same color as the Sri Lankans. So
No, you're still lighter.
but,
You're still lighter.
yeah, so sort of
Yeah.
like, but the thing is, like in England, everyone thinks I'm dark, but when I go somewhere where people are dark, they think I'm light. So I'm always an outsider wherever I go.
That's very interesting. It's I thought that I would never ask you that question. It's too personal because I wasn't very sure for myself. I know, like that there are a couple of other colored players who played for England, which is pretty. I mean, at the moment, it's pretty common. Like it's not a big deal to see the colored players, coming into the national team. But you're thinking 30 years back, it wasn't
Yeah,
the case. Say.
right.
I mean, I think Mark during my time, I think it was Mark Butcher, and who played, and then thereafter, I can't think of any other colored player who played for a long time. Just you had a couple of quickies, I think. The big guy.
Devon
Yeah,
Malcolm and Gladstone Small, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Alex Streeter.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Have you ever played with this guy Gihan Mendes, who played for Sussex?
No, I think I played against him once. I think maybe my first year. I played against him. But actually, one of my close friends is also there's a guy called Rayhan Ali Khan. He's probably my closest friend, and he was one of the first Asian cricketers to play county cricket back in. He was playing from back in the early '80s. So, but there's now I think there's more and more Asian cricketers coming into into English cricket. Aftab Habib is just another guy who's an Asian guy who played a couple of Test matches for England, who's just opened his own academy there in England, and I think Saqib Mahmood, Saj Mahmood. So Saqib Mahmood is playing for England actually today, I think. So and Saj Mahmood as well, who was a fast bowler for Lancashire. So I think there's more and more coming into the England, and I think there should be, because there's a big Asian community in England, and I think it's only fair that they have fair representation in the England team.
Was it challenging, you being from a mixed race, playing for England, or I mean, it was never the case? You're probably the first Indonesian to have played cricket, mate.
Well, I said that I was when I went up to Indonesia. I go up there every year to support this the orphanage up there, and then they said to me, "Oh," they were talking away, and I said, "Wow," I said, I must be the greatest Indonesian cricketer that's ever been." And he said, "No, you're not." So I said, "Oh, really? Who else was there?" And he said, "Your brother was better."
Yeah, mate. Yeah, that's a good one. Bless Ben, good old Ben, mate. He was an amazing athlete. He was taller than you as well, isn't it? He was way taller.
He was taller. I'm better looking, but he was taller. So
yeah, mate. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, Ben is not around to defend himself, so we'll give it to you, mate. So okay, we believe you. It's brilliant. The Aussie humor, I'll still feel. Anyway, before we wind up, mate, how's the season going? How's the summer going for you?
Yeah, it's going good. I'm like I said, I'm the assistant coach, mainly concentrating on the batting out here. So I've been working with Joe Burns and Marnus Labuschagne, who's both scored 100. Well, Joe Burns got 90 something, but Marnus got 100 yesterday in the Test match. So that's happy. That's not. I mean, I'm not the only person they work with, of course, but my job is the batting coach for Queensland. So and we've got a lot of other very good players coming through. So it's it's going well. I mean, the season's isn't that new. I think we're only 3 or 4 games in the Shield season, so there's a long way to go. But it's going well.
Enjoying the role?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I went away for cricket for 12, 13 years, so I wasn't involved in cricket in any way. So when I went to go back into it, I was wasn't quite sure what to expect. But cricket people are special people. I couldn't. My first job was with Queensland was getting the under-17 team ready for the national tournament here that they play, and all the kids were so nice, and it was like it was a chance for me to think, oh, why are these kids so nice? And then I realized, I started doing a lot of thinking, and then I started thinking, well, the whole time I played cricket, there's not many people that I met who I didn't like. I mean, there's guys who have different interests, like some guys like going to casinos, other ones like going here, and this we have different interests, but there's not many bad people in cricket. And then I realized why was when I met all the parents of these kids. It's such a long game. The game takes the whole day to play. So if you're going to go and play, you need a parent who's going to drive you there and be prepared to sacrifice their whole day to let you play. And to do that, you have to be a giving, caring person. And because the parents who don't care, they won't take their kids training. They'll let them go and hang on the streets and do bad things. So and then the other thing about it is, so straight away, those kids come from a good family. But then when they are there, they're mixing with other kids from good families. And if you're carrying on like an idiot, then the rest of the team brings you back into line. So pretty much that's why the people in cricket are the best, I think, because the game teaches you to be a good person, and pretty much everybody comes from good parents as far as I can see. So that's why I think people in cricket are the best.
I totally agree with you, mate. I think, I mean, you and I as cricketers, would like to say that it's a brilliant game. It's called a gentleman's game. I think in every sport, I think especially in the Rugby World Cup, the camaraderie that we saw between the countries, being a contact sport, I think it's unreal for me. I thought it's the highest point in sports that I have seen. How friendly they were. Whether you're on the winning team or the losing team, at the end of the day, everyone comes, big hug, and big guys, big hits, all forgotten, and that's the brilliance of sport, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is, yeah. Yeah, it's a
And
great sport as well. I mean, there's sport in general is great, but I just think cricket, because of the length of it, that we spend so much time in one another's company. It's very easy to get angry with people when you spend so much time with them, but it doesn't happen that often. So that's why I think it's a special game.
I never thought about it. Unlike any other sport, the amount of time we spend inside the dressing room, or out on the field, or even
Yeah,
after the game, going to the pub and grabbing a beer. So you're literally, and even when you're on tour, so you're with one another all the time. So it just become one family. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great sport. How old are your kids, Adam, now?
so I've got a 17-year-old daughter. I've got a 13-year-old boy and an 8-year-old boy.
Are they into sports, or anyone following your career?
Well, my daughter was very good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Wow.
She was the Australian champion, including boys. So she was very good at that. My middle son is very intelligent, so I don't know where he got that from, but but he's also a very good rugby league player. They play rugby league where we are. And my younger son is very good he's the age champion at athletics, swimming. He's also a very good rugby player, but none of them are really that interested in cricket, which is the way it is. I haven't pushed them in any way. I've let them choose what they want to do. So, yeah, none of them have really shown any real love of cricket, but they all love rugby. So I'll let them do what they want to do.
There you go, man. You've been a good dad, mate. I've been watching the progress. Sitting far away, but it's always challenging to have kids and to bring them up. I'm lucky that my kids have grown up and they have all moved out, and so here I am on a Sunday morning talking to you, old bastard from Aussie land, just having a chat.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Adam, the time's running out. I know that you have a flight to catch and you are going back home. Just the kids are with you, or you're shuttling back to Gold Coast, or what's happening?
Yeah, I'm heading back to the Gold Coast tonight. So I'll go back and I'll have the kids when I get back there back to the Gold Coast. So
right.
Yeah.
And must say a special thanks to Dominic Wood if he's watching. You know that he's the guy who put us in touch. And so big thank you to Dominic. Being such a great friend. And
Yeah.
I must say that thank you very much, Adam.
No problem.
And for being a part of the show. I promised I won't take more than 40 minutes. I think we have spoken more than that. The whole conversation got carried on. And it's wonderful talking to you. It's always, to share your wisdom. It's so enlightening for me to talk to you and understand what it is. And it's been a great pleasure. And this is the first time ever that that it ever happened in Sri Lanka. I think for the first time, the guy who's going live on FB, sharing a screen and talking to a host remotely, and it's an amazing feature. We had never done it. So I must say, once again, thanks a lot for being a part of it and giving me the initiative. And I wish you very well in your future endeavors, and please be in touch. And my only prayer is that one day that we meet and share a beer and we'll talk of the good times once more.
I'd like that. That'll be fantastic. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for everyone in Sri Lanka there. Hopefully I'll get over to see you one day. You better prepare the spare bedroom up, mate. I'll come over there soon.
You're welcome, mate. You already have million fans over here, and they would love to have you as such a brilliant personality, top human being. And as I said before, all I can say is I wish you all the very best in your endeavors, and keep on shining, mate. You're an absolute legend and a star. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself,
Thank
Adam.
you.
And thanks for being here once more. And inshallah, as people say, We'll be in touch. Yeah. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.
All the best. Yeah. Bye-bye. There you go, people. And despite all the technical issues I had, it was a good-looking Adam Hollioake, the great personality himself, and it was absolute pleasure talking to Adam and having him on the show. And it's a novel experience for me. I have never done this before, and it's being a. Why am I wearing headphones? I don't need it anymore because I'm just talking to myself at the moment and to the camera. And I struggled a lot to get this transmission going, and it was a novelty. I haven't done that before. I had no clue how it will turn up, and having a split screen, and it was like a test transmission. And thank you very much, people, for watching this. What I'll do is, once the transmission ends, that I'll go back and check all your comments and your feedback, and I did the best I could. As I said, being a Sunday, I have no help. All my mates are relaxing at home. So hope everybody is having a peaceful and enjoyable Sunday. And until the next time, take care of yourself and help me in my part of journey. And I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. And catch you guys soon. And take care. Good luck.